Hello everyone, Minute Plus Meditation here, Friday, October the 20th, and it is the feast of St. Margaret Mary Alacoque as well as St. Hedwig. Okay, the first reading, still in Romans, will be for a while, chapter 4, verses 1 to 8. Now the one who works, wages are not reckoned as a gift, but as something due. So he's speaking of this as the law. But to one who, without works, trusts him who justifies the ungodly, such faith is reckoned as righteousness. So also David speaks of the blessedness of those to whom God reckons righteousness apart from works. Blessed are those whose iniquity are forgiven and those whose sins are covered. Blessed is the one against whom the Lord will not reckon sin. So St. Paul is, now he's writing to the Romans. Probably Jewish Christians are in Rome, and then of course there's majority of them are Gentiles. So he's speaking to them. Basically, the old law was according to works. That was the way it was understood, but nobody can be justified by works because works are something, it's contractual. I do this for you, you do this for me. And that served as a kind of pedagogue, St. Paul would say, or a kind of mentor, if you will, for the Jewish people for a while. But it really all pointed to the system or the covenant of grace, so that it's not purely contractual. It still involves a contractual element. So yes, we must do things for God, but we're not doing them for God in the strict sense that he then owes us something in return. But rather, it is grace. It is a gift. It is, strictly speaking, unmerited. So we cannot merit this gift. Nobody could be justified by works of the law. And by the law, St. Paul does not mean the Ten Commandments, as some people falsely think, but rather things like the ceremonial aspects of the law, and dietary prescriptions of the law. So keeping all of these externals would then justify one in the presence of God, being circumcised and so on. These were all meant to point to something much greater, and that is the covenant of grace, so that God becomes one of us through no merit of our own. We didn't deserve it. We could have asked for it, but we wouldn't have even known what we were asking for. Who would have asked for God to become man? Nobody ever thought of this. God had to initiate this. So we're saved by grace. However, we still perform works, but in union with Christ. It only has value in Christ. It's a very deep thing, but I'll leave it at that for now. Suffice it to say, what you and I do in terms of works is important because faith without works is dead. However, works without faith is dead. We need both, like two wings of a dove. Okay, over to the gospel, or two wings of an eagle, dove, whatever. So Luke chapter 12. So when the crowd had gathered by the thousands so that they trampled on one another, Jesus began to speak first to his disciples. Beware of the yeast of the Pharisees, that is their hypocrisy. Nothing is covered up that will not be uncovered, nothing secret that will not become known. Therefore, whatever you have said in the dark will be heard in the light, and what you have whispered behind closed doors will be proclaimed from the housetops. So this, it was a warning against the Pharisees of his day, who were, privately basically creating all sorts of They were creating loopholes so that they could basically not have to live up to the demands that they were requiring of everybody else. This is their hypocrisy. So you have to keep the law and all of its elements, but they were creating their own legal loopholes so they could actually get out of the demands of the law. And Jesus calls them on this hypocrisy, and they don't like him for it, right? But they should have actually understood that he understood what they were about, and if they had any integrity at all, they would have accepted this chastisement and recognized they were going off the rails. They need correction. But their arrogance and pride would not let them admit this. So and it's also a warning to you and to me in our day, because whatever we do in private is known by God immediately. And even if we seem to get away with it in this world, there will come a day when we have to answer for it. So it's really calling us to an integrity, a harmony of being, of who we are, so that what people see is really who we are. That's really important. So ask Jesus for this grace. God bless you.